So very lovely. I'm going in and out, so I'm having a little bit of problems with my. We've got really funny on my canal boat here. I've got very funny connection at the moment, so I may go in and out. So you may have to take over, but we're just coming. This is Kerry McLeod from Mind, the brilliant health charity which helps us all with our mental health. We're massive fans at Psychologies. Thank you for all that you do and all that you've done over lockdown. I really appreciate it. I've sent so many.
Oh, that is lovely to hear. Thank you so much. And thank you for having me on today.
Lovely. Well, lovely to hear you. So we're coming up. How are we feeling now? How do we feel about lockdown?
Well, I would say that there isn't really a normal response to how we're all dealing with coming out of lockdown and sort of how we're all feeling. I know certainly the things that we're hearing at Mind and that sort of we're experiencing in the team as well is a whole sort of range of emotions. A lot of us are feeling quite anxious about the changes to our way of life. For those of us who have got used to being in lockdown and kind of working within the restrictions that we've got, suddenly that's been sort of pulled away from us. And we've been missing friends and family, and we're sort of wanting to see people again, but there's that anxiety about the kind of this virus still hanging over us, which is affecting how we're feeling. I think it's quite normal for us to be feeling angry right now about sort of how things are being managed and where we sit, and sort of feelings of powerlessness, that was easy for me to say, aren't uncommon either. So there's a whole range of emotions that I think we're all feeling right now, and they're all kind of normal and okay. And no one response is the kind of the normal response, I suppose. I think I'll just carry on talking, Suzy, because I think
I know I'm coming in and out. But what can, so the kind of our philosophy at Psychology is, let's focus on what we can't focus on what we can control with what we can't control. So what at Mind, what are your top tips about what we can control? What will help us? What will help our mental health for us when we come out of lockdown?
Yeah, I think really the things that will help us manage our mental health as we come out of lockdown are going to be really similar to the things that help us manage our mental health at any other time. And definitely, as you've picked up on, the focusing on what we can control versus what we can't is really important. And we've been saying to people, it might even be helpful to write 2 lists. So what are the things that I can control, and what are the things that I can't? And I can't do anything about the government response or what's happening in the world outside. But for instance, and I know we were talking about this earlier, things that I can control is how much news I'm consuming each day, what I choose to explore on social media. I know that I personally have been kind of limiting my interaction on social media just because I'm finding that it helps me protect my own well-being. So I think, learning what you can control and what responses you can control is really key. And some of the other things that we would sort of encourage people to do is to talk and connect with people. That's obviously always an important part. And I know that everyone's experience of lockdown so far has been really different, and some people have been kind of dealing with very acute feelings of loneliness, and some people have had the kind of opposite experience where they've been in a home that's got more people in than it normally does, whether that's kind of small children or partners or whoever. And so the way that we talk to each other, whether they're in the same building as us or not, has changed, but the importance of it hasn't. And one thing that we have sort of learnt at Mind is sort of people who are finding that their mental health is doing less well at the moment since lockdown. The importance of that is then kind of finding someone to talk to who you can trust, who may be outside your close circle of family or friends, but someone who you can confide in. That would be really important. And then
I find it, the talking therapies, but obviously we're a massive fan. Be it to, you know, a GP, go through your Would you say go to your GP first? How would people access that help?
Yeah, we so something that I would like to say actually is we conducted a survey with people towards the beginning of lockdown, and the findings that we got were quite sort of, I wouldn't say shocking, but it was 1 in 3 people said that they hadn't sought help for their mental health during the pandemic because they didn't think that it was important enough or deserving enough. So if there was one message that I could get out there, it would be just the importance of speaking to your GP if you've been feeling low, anxious for a period of time. You know, your mental health is still important. The NHS does still want to hear from you and support you. And we know that the sort of way we access therapy has changed, obviously, since lockdown. You know, there's not the same opportunity for face-to-face physical, like being in the same physical room as your therapist. But there are other ways that you can get support. So yes, definitely speaking to your GP is a first instance.
Sure. And, you know, the idea of reaching out for help. So I always say, you know, I have a 17-year-old son and we talk a lot about mental health because of my job. But I always sort of say, you know, it's normal to feel down and anxious. It's just part of life's ups and downs. And, you know, just notice and score yourself every day. You know, if you're feeling low, it's just like, OK, how low are you feeling from 0 to 10? So if you're feeling a 3 with your mood, note it as a 3. But if you were I always say to him, if you're feeling 0 for 2 weeks in a row, right, we need to seek help. And that's just what I talked about with my son. Do you have the same kind of, is there any kind of criteria to know? It's obviously we're all feeling anxious because of so many changes, but is there a kind of, that's my way of dealing with it. But what would you say at Mind? What's your the advice from Mind about when to reach out? When is there a problem? When it would be kind of perhaps advisable to reach and go to the GP?
I think you're spot on with what you say to your son, to be honest. I think that, like you say, we all experience ups and downs, and that is perfectly normal. But if you are experiencing lows or kind of intense feelings of any kind that are lasting, persisting over, a good sort of couple of weeks, then it's definitely time to seek help. And I think it's worth saying as well that what that feeling is going to be different for everyone, and so it's a good idea to score, but it's, you know, understanding that is subjective and that someone else saying to you you're fine isn't always helpful if you know in yourself that you're not feeling fine. So you kind of have to listen to yourself and accept how you're feeling.
Yeah, but I also, psychology, you always say you don't have to suffer. Did you mean it's being self-aware and sort of, you know, I mean, I'm at that certain age where I'm quite hormonal and I go up and down and you know, so I've probably been having more low times than I've ever had before. And with the pandemic, I'm like, oh, what's this? I'm not sure about this feeling. And then it lifts and it shifts. And then I'm like, okay, it's okay. And then but I'm noticing it. I'm being self-aware to plot my moods. But I think the thing is, if it was happening and I was just hitting the floor for 2 weeks in a row, I would definitely think, okay, this is not normal for me. And I need to, and for anyone, I would say out there who's having those low moods or anxiety or depression or whatever it is, reach out. So go to your GP, there's Mind. Just find it, and everyone is different, aren't they? I mean, tomorrow you've got this brilliant thing starting, which is all about crafting, isn't it? Yeah. I mean, I'm going from talking therapy but to crafting. So at Psychologies, we've done this brilliant. We've been knitting, we've been painting, we've been doing all of these things in lockdown. Even I've been gardening. I mean, oh my goodness, and I'm so not a gardener. We've been doing all of this amazing stuff. But, you know, crafting has been the one thing that Psychologies team has absolutely loved. And then I found, oh my goodness, you're doing it, aren't you? This crafting. Tell me a little bit about that, because even that can help your mental health.
Absolutely. We know that expressing yourself creatively and expressing your feelings can be a really good way of managing your well-being, and kind of like you were saying earlier about getting in touch with how you're feeling and knowing how you're feeling. So kind of creative expression is a great way to do that. And the Minds Crafternoons have been going for, I think it's about 7 years now, and you know, they used to be, and hopefully they will be again, kind of opportunities for you to get together with people, because it's about making something, but it's also about connecting with others and talking about how we're feeling. And obviously, since the lockdown, we've kind of shifted these so that they happen online, and they're just a great opportunity to connect with other people while making something. Tomorrow's Crafternoon, which is, I should say, is at 4 p.m. It's going to be on
4
Zoom.
tomorrow. Yeah, okay.
Tomorrow, Friday. Yeah, it's going to be on Zoom, and it's we're making some cards, some Take What You Need cards, and they're support cards that you can send out to family, friends, loved ones. Which I have to say, I think it's amazing that you have all been doing crafting. I am not a crafter. I'm just not very good at making things come together in a good way. But this is one that I really want to do, because I've been sending a lot of messages and cards to people over the last few weeks, just to kind of let them know that I'm thinking of them and try and sort of lift people's spirits. And so it's a really nice way to do it. And we know, you know, that giving is another way of boosting your own well-being. So it's a great way to sort of do something for yourself, but also give to someone else.
I mean, I think, isn't it weird, of all the things that, you know, if you're not a particularly creative people, it's interesting you say, oh, I'm not very good at it. But I think there's a whole thing of just having a go and seeing what it's like. I mean, one of my favorite things out of that was to kind of go to Hobbycraft, and, you know, you get all the stuff and you get all the brilliant little bits and pieces, and then you kind of make it. And I was rubbish at it, absolutely rubbish. And other people do make these amazing bracelets or hanging baskets and stuff. But it wasn't, it's almost, for me, it's not about the end product, it's just about the process of doing it. And it's interesting you say, what I love actually is, so I've been doing kind of watercolor painting. That's something I've, you know, because it doesn't, you can actually create something really brilliant just from kind of doing kind of watery paints. But it is a reflection of how you're feeling. So I kind of noticed at the beginning of lockdown, there were kind of lots of sunshiny colors, and then the middle it went a bit darker, and then it started to get sunnier again. And I'm like, it's almost, I've got these kind of paintings that are kind of a reflection of how I'm feeling. I'm not quite sure if that will be the same if you're doing macrame or crocheting, but what is it about crafting that works? What is it that makes you feel better in terms of creative expression? Do you know what it is?
Yeah, I don't know entirely, but, you know, we know that art therapy is a really powerful form of therapy. So there's science behind it, which I will not attempt to go into because I won't do it justice. You know, I know from my own personal experience that focus on making something, which kind of takes you out of your thoughts a little, I think that is a very powerful tool. And then just kind of having something to show at the end of it, especially if it's a way of you, like with the watercolors, it's a way of you actually expressing what you're feeling, then that's even more powerful. I've been doing a lot of painting with the kids, and I've really enjoyed just kind of doing some very abstract things where I've just been playing with colour, and it's quite nice not to feel like I need an output. So there's that side of it as well. You don't actually have to have a thing at the end of it.
I suppose it's the kind of what we talk about all the time, psychologists, being mindful, isn't it?
Yeah.
And when you're learning something new, you have to be very conscious about how you're doing it, and you're learning, and you become, I mean, it's what's the psychologist called? Csikszentmihalyi. He was the psychologist did a big study about the state of flow.
Oh yeah.
And in the state of flow, then you become very, very mindful. And I think perhaps that's what we're tapping into, isn't it? We're perhaps with crafting, because you're learning and you have to concentrate and you have to focus, and all of a sudden you're not consuming, you're creating, and there's something, I don't know, magical about that.
Definitely. And that feeling of sort of stepping out of something, having been focused intently, and sort of time has passed and you haven't even been aware of it. yeah, that's a really sort of a powerful tool, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah,
really, really great.
Sorry.
So tomorrow, 4 o'clock, Friday, 4 o'clock.
Yeah.
So how do we do it? I know there's a link below. Do you just click it and you're on a big Zoom call, or how does it work?
The link. Yeah, I think it's a click on the link, sign up. You'll get details of the Zoom call, and then it's an opportunity to follow along while you make these cards. I think there's an origami envelope as well. So there's a very simple list of all of
you've got to fold it.
Yeah, and I think it's, the idea is that it's sort of the sorts of things that you should be able to cobble together from around your house if you can't get out to the shops, which I know some people can't at the moment. So it's very paper based, and yeah, there's this kind of very simple list of instructions on what you'll need to take part.
Yeah. Okay, well, wonderful. I would encourage everyone to click on. At Psychologies, we have our creative confidence on Instagram at 1 o'clock every Monday. We did a fantastic interview, I don't know, with the queen of creativity, Julia Cameron. Do you know Julia Cameron, Kerry?
Yeah, I'm very familiar.
I managed to get to talk to her the other day, so that's on our Psychology TV. And we have every Friday at I think it's 1 o'clock for us, we have How to Write a Novel with Lucy Atkins. So we've got, I mean, for us, I know creativity, writing, we're just massive champions of how creativity can help you. But again, Kerry, thank you for all the brilliant work you're doing with Mind. Anybody struggling with their mental health, contact our wonderful health charity Mind, and there's so many resources that you have there that you can help everyone with. And here we are at Psychologies too, millions of resources for you. My main message for everyone out there is you do not have to suffer. Reach out. If you need medical intervention, then go to see your GP. If you need just to try something different or some new, self-help, then come to Mind, come to Psychologies. You do not need to suffer. Kerry, thank you so much for your time and your energy and everything you're doing. And speak to you soon.
Thanks. Take care.
Lots of love. Bye-bye. 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 Bye.